My question is to the Premier. The newly appointed chair of the Judicial Appointments Committee is a registered lobbyist for an American gun manufacturer. The Premier then claimed that he wanted to quadruple down on violent offenders. But it's actually on his watch over the last 6 years that we've seen offenders going free because the criminal justice system is literally collapsing under this government's neglect. Chronic underfunding has led to the critical understaffing, which has led to the critical courtrooms being closed, which is also meaning that serious cases are being thrown out because they have missed their basic administrative delays. Will the Premier explain to victims of crime in Ontario why his focus is naming gun lobbyists to the Judicial Appointments Committee as opposed to being laser focused on funding and fixing the broken court system?
The Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, you know, budget after budget, we've made investments in the judicial system in terms of the administration. We finished the courthouse with 73 more courtrooms, 63 plus 10 meeting rooms, Mr. Speaker. We have done a ton of work to modernize this system, more work than has been done in decades, Mr. Speaker. And the member opposite and her party and the Liberal Party voted against every single step forward and keep talking about defunding police and yanking supports out of the system, Mr. Speaker, redirecting those supports, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you, let's just talk about, you know, any part of the system and the investments that we're making. They are historic, Mr. Speaker. We have moved the system forward decades in a matter of years, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Back to the Premier. He needs to be honest, and the government needs to be honest. Ontario now has the worst track record for court hearings across the country. The wait time is now 5 years long. How can the Premier be tough on crime when he isn't even smart on crime? Under this government, court delays have exploded, forcing judges to release violent and gun-related offenders because they have not had their trials completed in a constitutionally allowable time frame. Now, what I want to understand, I think Ontarians want to understand is how can we have a Premier that has no respect for the charter rights of Ontarians? Speaker, will the Premier own up to his track record and let Ontarians know how many sexual assault charges, how many impaired driving charges, and how many gun-related charges have been thrown out because of the dysfunctional court system, because they can't get their trials done in time, because they refuse to fund the courts properly, they refuse to fix the system.
Members to take their seats. Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I'm not entirely sure what the question was in there, so I'm going to talk about the investments we've made in the court system. Mr. Speaker, we have revolutionized the way that the courts work. We are seen across the country as leaders, and a former federal attorney general said to me, he said, you know, with the COVID money that you got, you are the only province that is deploying it the way it was meant to be done, Mr. Speaker. I am very proud of that fact. Mr. Speaker, we are doing things that couldn't be done for decades, that wouldn't be done for decades, because the Liberals weren't paying attention and the NDP were focused on the social worker side of everything, Mr. Speaker. We're focused on the offenders. We're focused on the victims. We're focused on making sure the administration runs exactly the way Ontarians expect it to, and we're going to keep that up, Mr. Speaker.
The next question.